Uh, yeah.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Going for Two, and I am Kejuannh Humphreys. Isn't it shocking? Isn't it shocking that the Spurs are 5-0 for the first time in franchise history? Yes, so with the Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili Spurs, Tim Duncan and David Robinson, Kawhi Leonard, LaMarcus Aldridge, and the crew, all them teams have never went 5-0. But the Spurs with Victor Wembanyama, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, all these young guys are the first team in Spurs history to go 5-0, not 10-0. They've never been 5-0 until this year. The San Antonio Spurs won their 5th game of the season last night when they defeated the Miami Heat 107-101. We're going to dive into that game along with diving into what the ceiling of the Spurs are in this video. But before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button, man. We're at 259 subs. The goal was to hit 1,000 subs by this time next year, and I cannot do that without the help from you all showing love and showing support. So hit the subscribe button, like button, comment, share with your folks. Let's get right into it. Okay. The Spurs won 107-101 against the Miami Heat last night, a game that saw two of the best bigs, two of the best centers in the NBA go at it, Victor Wembanyama and Bam Adebayo. Victor Wembanyama finished with 27 points, 18 rebounds. Bam Adebayo finished with 31 points and 10 rebounds in a posterizer on Victor Wembanyama. But the Spurs, the thing with the Spurs to me is like the guys that they're relying on, the guys that they're leaning on, you wouldn't think that they're going to be that crazy, but they are. Don't get me wrong, Stephon Castle was reigning rookie of the year. But, you know, he's looking like the second best player on the team. You know? And I think the thing with the Spurs is that fact that they have so much depth and that they are so deep and so young and so talented that they don't really need a solidified two. They just need someone to step up every single night. Because with how good Victor Wembanyama is going to be every single night, and I'm going to dive into that every single night with how good he's going to be, he just needs his guys just to rally and do their jobs. Because he's going to be the one that's going to be exceptional. He's going to be the one that takes over every single night. If he can get help from someone else, and last night he got help from a lot of different guys, they're going to win a lot of games, and we've seen over the course of these first 5 games. Stephon Castle finished with 21 points. Devin Vassell finished with 17. Dylan Harper finished with 13 points along with Kejuannh Johnson 11. Like the team, like it's like everybody knows their job, everybody knows their role, and they're flowing at a great rate right now, y'all. They're playing really, really well. 5-0 start. One of the only undefeated teams left in the NBA. I want to say there's, 3 more? I want to say the Bulls are still undefeated. The Thunder are still undefeated. And there's one more team that does not have a loss that I just cannot, I cannot think of right now. But yeah. I know it's real early. But my whole outlook on this team has completely changed. And mind y'all, I had the Spurs as the 4th seed coming into the season. In my Western Conference standings preview video, I had the Spurs finishing 4th in the Western Conference by the end of the season. I think there's no reason why, health permitting, I think there's no reason why they couldn't finish top 3. Because you got to think about it, y'all. Wembanyama, 7'4". They're saying he's getting tall, so maybe 7'5", 7'6" now. He's dominated every single game he's played. And the truth is, the reality of the situation is that he should dominate every single game that he plays this season. I said it after game 1 against the Dallas Mavericks. I said, okay, what scares me about Wemby is the fact that he's not taking those jumpers no more. He's not settling for jump shots. The guy took 9 threes last year at 7'4". Now, he's cut that down to 2 or 3 a game, and he's going right to the basket. Using his size, he's gotten way stronger, it looks like, too. Using his size, using his strength, and just dominating in the painted area. Defensively, we know what he brings defensively. He does whatever he wants. He locks down the whole entire paint. So with Wembanyama objectively having no bad game at all this season, he's going to be good for a cool at least 26 and 14-ish a night. And 26 might be robbing a little bit. I think he's averaging close to 30 points right now. So with him playing crazy every single night, you don't got everybody having a bad game. This is me speaking best case scenario. You got Devin Vassell. You got all these guys that are going to be able to play off of him because Victor Wembanyama, he attracts so much attention. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, okay, he's 7'4". If he goes to the paint, you got to send help. And the help probably ain't going to do nothing. But other guys are going to be able to score off of the fact that Wemby's on the floor. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that. But the biggest thing to me with the Spurs is that they have an all-star point guard that they traded for last year, that they extended this summer, that has not touched the floor yet. De'Aaron Fox is still on this team. And De'Aaron Fox, don't get me wrong, he's super duper talented. But I think De'Aaron Fox, the danger with him, with the Spurs, is not the fact that he'll be on the Spurs. It's the fact that he could be sent off from the Spurs to bring in another good player that would better fit on the team. Look, the way Stephon Castle's playing, the way Dylan Harper's playing, the way Devin Vassell's playing, they don't need De'Aaron Fox. They don't need him. Every single game, every single day, every single game that passes, I know that front office thinking, we may be able to move off from him. And I know we just signed a contract. I know we just signed an extension this past summer. But I think that's a very tradable deal. That's a very tradable contract. And I know somebody, one of these teams that's looking for a point guard would gladly take on De'Aaron Fox. He's still very, very talented. No matter how much I say the Spurs don't need him. They don't need him because it's not good. They don't need him because they have so much depth at that position. They drafted a Rookie of the Year at point guard last year before they traded for De'Aaron Fox. And they have one of the best rookies in the league this year, and Dylan Harper playing well as well. So I think the Spurs are in a very, very interesting situation. Now, mind you, I did talk about this after the draft. I posted a video talking about the Spurs after the draft. I said, okay, the Spurs are heavy at point guard. That was before De'Aaron signed his extension. So I was thinking they would trade him or not re-sign him. But they decided to do it. But I don't think they expected their guys to look this good this fast. Speaking of being this good this fast, man, I think every single season there's a team that does not make the playoffs the year before, and especially in the Western Conference, that doesn't make the playoffs the year before, that ends up top 3 in the Western Conference standings by the end of the year. 2 years ago, it was the OKC Thunder. OKC rose from, I think they was in the play-in, so they might have been the 8th seed or something. And they rose from there to be the 1st seed. Then last year, we saw the Rockets go from 11th seed to the 2 seed, finishing as a 2 seed last season. I think this year is the year we see the Spurs be a top 3 seed. And when you're a top 3 seed, there needs to be a conversation about what your ceiling is. I know we're only 5 games in. I'm not trying to over-exaggerate, but I'm telling y'all what I see. The Spurs can legitimately be a threat to go to the finals. And maybe this is me gassing them, but I don't think it is. With having a guy like Wembanyama, I think this is different than having a Jokic, different than having a Anthony Edwards, a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. This is different than having. I think the closest thing that I can think of with Wembanyama and what he's doing on the floor is like a Giannis. And I say that because a guy that's having this big of an impact on both sides of the floor is something that we have not seen in the NBA for a good while. Victor Wembanyama has been the best defender in the world for these last 5 games, maybe for the last couple of seasons, because he would have won Defensive Player of the Year last year if he didn't get injured. Victor Wembanyama, I think the numbers, I don't know the numbers for a fact, but I want to say he's defended, 20 players or so over the course, going into last night. Defended 20 players over the course of the first 4 games of the season. And he's only given up like 19 points. So when Wemby's defending you, you're not scoring. That's what I'm saying. And then on the offensive end, he's such a threat on offense because of his size and because of his mobility and his ability to shoot the ball. He can definitely still shoot the ball. It's like, he impacts the game so well to where you can bring in, not saying he can have bums out there with him, but you can bring in guys that may not be as good as these guys over here. But with me being around these guys, they look a lot better. I say this, I think if you put Wemby on the Nuggets, that's a championship team. But I think if you put Jokic on the Spurs, with how great Jokic, I think Jokic is still the best player in the world, don't get me wrong. He's having a crazy start of the year, averaging triple-double. But if you put Jokic on the Spurs, I'm not sure if they start out 5-0, I'm not sure they have the greatest. I think the ceiling for the Spurs is the highest that it could be because they had Wembanyama. Because Jokic is not the defender that Wembanyama is. Wembanyama makes up for a lot of mistakes on defensive end. He does. just because nobody wants to go down to the paint with him. So I say this right now, and it's Halloween, Slender Man, October 31st. I think the Spurs could legitimately make the finals. And of course, it's about health. And of course, they got to go through OKC. The West still runs through OKC. They got to beat OKC. They got to beat Denver. They got to beat Houston. They got to beat Golden State, even though I don't know if Golden State got nothing for this big boy. But I think it is not an over-exaggeration to say that the Spurs are a legitimate threat to win the Western Conference. And if they win the Western Conference, they're just legit threat to winning the finals as well. Man, oh man, what they've been doing has been absolutely scary. And you know what? As a Hawks fan, it sucks. As a Hawks fan, it sucks because we traded with the Spurs. We traded with the Spurs to get DeJounte Murray, and we traded them a bunch of picks. So with us starting out slow, they have our pick too. So we got to turn it up. For the NBA, the Hawks have to save the NBA because the Hawks are bad and they get another top 3, top 4 pick. Oh my gosh. It's going to be an absolute problem. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Until next time, going for 2. We out of here. Yeah.